Why are you feeling so lonely, empty, and maybe feeling lost, maybe even feeling like meaning of life doesn't mean anything to you? Yes, there is such a thing as spiritual emergency, and it's time to look into this in depth. Don't you agree, beloved? And most spiritual masters don't talk about that. But in this video Satsang, we're going to delve deep into what is it, what's causing that, and what are the remedy, because I can see that with my follower. Many of them have expressed this malaise. It's beyond a malaise. It's a spiritual crisis. So what is the emergency of a spiritual awakening that feels like a spiritual crisis? It's very simple. You are awakening. You are unfreezing. Devi Mayi Ma always talk about unfreezing. Out of a sudden, you coming out of the matrix. You know that matrix that is the relative reality, and you're starting to go through a spiritual kundalini ascension. Shakti is awakened inside of you. The energy is going up, and you need time for divine integration of that energy, of divine light energy. So, beloved, don't be traumatized by that. This is a natural, normal phase, part of the spiritual awakening. I can tell you I've gone through that many decades ago, and I will even share with you a very poignant story you're going to love. So stay until the end of this video Satsang, and I'll go over the different remedy that you're probably not aware of it. Because the big emergency also is that suddenly you lose ambition, you have no interest in your relationship, maybe with your spouse, and you feel maybe even some kind of depressed, or maybe a little tormented inside. No desire of living, maybe, or little, not that you're suicidal, but you lack the meaning of life because the old you is falling apart, or is continuing to fall apart. Not just the old you of false sense of self, but also your life. It's, you look around, it's like everything is falling apart, and you have no ambition for your career, your profession, or your business, or friendship, or family, or maybe even where you live, in the state you live, maybe even your country. You don't know. It's traumatizing. It can be. I remember when I went through that, I was in my 30s, and you don't know what's going on, but now rest assured, now that you know, you will look at this very differently, and you will say, oh yes, Devi Ma, that makes so much sense. And so what's causing what we call the post-awakening void is like a post-awakening void. What caused that is several things. As I've mentioned earlier, coming out of the matrix and looking, suddenly you're seeing the world with more clarity, the way things are. You're seeing society and industry, how they work, and all the illusion you had, the grand sense of the illusionment about oneself and about life and about the world. It's all collapsing. The matrix, you coming out of the matrix, and suddenly you say, oh my God, how am I going to live in this world? Because you know very well that what we're seeing is not how the reality need to be. We need to do something, and we are. Everyone is, not everyone, but a good majority, or in the process, or feeling the precursor of awakening, and it will happen in this lifetime, because there's such a movement of awakening right now, because it's so desperately needed for the survival of our species and our planet. And so those are the two things, beloved. It's a great sense of disillusionment about yourself, about your life, and about the world, the physical world we live in. Number two is certainly you're pulling away from the matrix. You can't live in the matrix anymore like the way you live, the life of lower vibrancy, lower frequency, caught up in the mundane life. You can't go back because now something inside of you spark. And so this is the post-awakening void. And the grave danger with that is, for some of you, because most of you, it happened like around midlife spiritual awakening crisis. And so this is for you. This satsang is for you, beloved. So if you are like in your mid-30s, this is a crucial time because so much karma is unfolding in your life, regardless if you're on the spiritual path or not. And so look deep at your life. The great danger is if you're experiencing what I'm talking about. That's why in my lineage, the Siddhanath lineage, we put a great emphasis on the relationship of Guru Shishya. From Sanskrit, it just means teacher and student. It's extremely important for anyone who's going through a spiritual awakening because guidance needs to be there. And it's beyond guidance. Transmission, divine transmission needs to be there. And having a Sangha. So a Sangha just means a beloved community. So you have support. You have spiritual guidance, but you know you're not alone. And that you're not alone coming out of the matrix. And those are some of the remedy. Now, I have several questions for you. Are you on the spiritual path? Number one, write it in the comment section. Number two, are you in sadhana? Sadhana just means spiritual practice. And if yes, what kind of sadhana? Because the right sadhana is extremely important to accelerate this process of kundalini ascension, because during the post-awakening void, this is where a lot of the integration of divine energy and light is integrating within your subtle body. And within the subtle body, we have the causal body, the astral body, and the etheric body. So it's a lot of work. And don't be surprised if you feel tired or exhausted, because it can be emotionally draining in so many ways. Because you will notice through that post-awakening void, you might feel super ultra sensitive at the heart level with your environment, with your entourage, with everything about your life. You know you're not depressed, but you lost the meaning of life. And I think this is the biggest characteristic of that post-awakening void, is that you lose the meaning of life. And the big question is, now what? Have you asked yourself that question? If you did, write it in the comment section. So the sadhana, the right sadhana, especially the Kriya Yoga. I have talked about that so often. The Kriya Yoga, like the Siddha Satchit Kriyananda here at Devi's Grace, can really empower you at a new level. So you come out of that danger, the danger of getting stuck there, the danger of suffering unnecessarily, feeling pain, feeling misery, feeling you're alone, and that, oh my God, how am I going to live in this world now? I remember when I went through that crisis, that was my question. How am I going to live in a world that is so cruel? And I'm about to share with you that little story. And I have many stories, but this one affected my being very deeply. And it was in the very beginning, even though I was born very awakened already. My energy was already in my Anahata, because that's what happened when you go through Kundalini Ascension, which is the same as spiritual awakening. It normally happens when the energy moves at the heart center in the Anahata. This explosion, because you start experiencing the world very differently. You starting to see things with more clarity, seeing things. I could go on and on, but there is a video satsang on that. If you look in the playlist on the different chakra, I think in the yogic knowledge, I talk about the opening of the heart chakra and all the symptoms and the mystical experiences. But so write it down in the comment section. What is your sadhana? And are you steady daily? Because this is important. And when you have that community to support you and the spiritual master to uplift you energetically in so many ways, and working with the ascended master, this phase can be accelerated very quickly. And you come out of it, and that leads us to the other remedy is, this is time to bring back a new life meaning. I call it the sacred life purpose. That sacred life purpose is, there's a whole video satsang. I think it's going to be launched shortly, or maybe it's already launched. If you haven't watched it, click on the next video. It's about the divine, I think it's called the divine feminine path. Awaken your soul to your sacred life purpose. And I talk in that about what it is. It is what you need now in your life to bring back a new meaning that is spiritual. It's about the evolution of our planet. It's about our own species evolution, conscious expansion evolution. And that's why it's so painful. And the post-awakening void is so real. And it can be so dangerous, because I have seen, not with my follower, but I have heard, I should say, that some beloved who were not guided properly, who were not guided at all, and were not really in a teacher-student lineage, and did not have a community and the support. Not only they were stuck, but they went through nightmarish story. I have seen that. I have heard that too. And, or they completely left the spiritual path and they tried to go back into the matrix and try to fit in. But the thing, beloved, is you can never fit in after that. You might go completely the wrong way, and the only way is to numb yourself. And I've seen that people will numb themselves either with drugs or alcohol. But if Kundalini is awakened, it's the greatest blessing. And so don't be alarmed. The danger is only for the one who are in ignorance. And you, the fact that you're here, you're listening to this divine wisdom and yogic wisdom and spiritual knowledge and teaching, it's incredibly empowering. So also, I would highly suggest, there's another upcoming video satsang, I would integrate this meditation into your sadhana. And I think this one is called From Mind to Samadhi. It's the Devi's Grace meditation. Is a wonderful meditation about calming the mind and bringing inner peace. Because at this stage, through the post-awakening, often is you start asking too many questions and you might get stuck into the pranamaya kosha, what we call the lower mind part, the mental body. We have 5 envelopes, 5 sheets. If you remember, I've talked into different satsang about that. And then I've seen that with my followers. Many of them get stuck there. And so that means you identifying too much with your mind. And so you need to take a little vacation and then make a distance from your mind. So the Divine Grace meditation is a great one. And the Siddha Satchit Kriyananda. Those two combined together, you will accelerate very fast. So feel free, check it out, discover Radiating the Light. The link will be, it's always actually in the description and the comment section. We have one coming up in January. And so reach out if you have any question. Now, next thing is, I wanted to share with you, the little story. To give you an example of post-awakening void, mine was traumatic. I was in my mid-30s and I love animals. I always did. Because I see everyone as the divine. And I wanted to help the animal. I wanted to start doing some volunteering because I started noticing there was a lot of suffering in the animal kingdom. But I did not know anything until I took this class. I remember I started doing little volunteering there and there. I always had animal all my life, cats and all kind of animals. We used to have a house down in the country. If some of you read my book, Becoming the Light, Realize You to Enlightened Nature, remember the part of my childhood, and I grew up around the farms, and I love playing with the farm animals, because to me, they were divine. I didn't see the difference into the species, what we call speciesism. Speciesism is a real thing, thinking that the Homo sapien is above anything else, that the animal are below us, and that we entitled to exploit them, neglect them, abuse them. And then I started to awake to that, and I remember I signed up for a program with PETA. It was called PETA Helping Animal 101, right here in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And I took this class with a dear friend, this so long ago, over 20 years ago. And this friend was very spiritual. He could not, and his parents own a farm of turkey, and they slaughtered turkey. He could not look at it. He was devastated by it. Each time they were showing footage of what was the reality in the matrix, in those industry, he was like pinching his ears and closing his eyes, and he didn't want to hear. He lasted only one day. The following day, he didn't show up. It was a 5-day program or something like that. And it was brutal in so many ways, and I forced myself to stay with it, to look at it, to see what is the reality, to honor not only those animals who died from so much cruelty, insane cruelty, horrendous, but also to those people, those animal advocates who actually went and had the courage to bring this footage, to show to people, so we can come out of this matrix. And so I was devastated. And in those days I was with my ex-husband, I became really down and depressed, because for this one, I was in the glorious opening of the Anahata in those days, and I was ultra sensitive. And I remember I mourned in grief, and I was kind of not depressed in a major depression. That had happened much earlier. Oh, I think that with this story I'm telling you, I was actually a little bit older. It was probably, I was becoming close to my 40s, because I was living here in this part of the country, in the West in the Western Hemisphere. And I used to tell my ex-husband, I cannot live in a world, this were my mouth coming out of my mouth, I cannot live in a world where humankind are so cruel and so insensitive to other species. Seeing the animal, the way they slaughtered them while they were conscious, and they skinned them in the farm factory, and even in shelter with the overpopulation of cats and dogs, how they were euthanizing them and gassing them. There were so many things, I won't go into the details. But this was an eye-opener to the ultimate. All different kind of industry in the lab, how they test on animal, and the insidious thing they would do, which are absolutely unnecessary. So many of it. And I was pretty much a vegetarian in those. I became a vegan overnight. But I was in that post-awakening void, lack of meaning, I had no interest in anything, nothing. It was like a zone where I needed solitude, but I needed guidance in those days. I needed a community, but because my being is so strong, I was able to pull myself out, and I took probably, it took over a year. And when I came out, it was glorious, like a phoenix. I burned into ashes, and I came back. And I decided I was going to speak for the animal. It's not that I decided, it naturally unfolded. And then I found a new meaning in my life. It was a sacred life purpose to expand the consciousness and part of the evolution of this planet. And I got involved. I got very involved with the animal rights movement. I started talking, bringing spirituality. And it was phenomenal how the courage came, and my life had a completely new meaning. And my spiritual awakening then was there was so much more to come. We're talking about like over 20 years ago. But this is just a little example. Today, my sacred life purpose, you know very well, beloved, I have stayed for you. If you have watched my near-death experience and spiritual awakening, which is, I think, is the feature video here on our channel, watch it if you haven't watched it. But today I'm here for you. Of so many years of being groomed to do this work. So the remedy are simple. Make sure you fully embark on the spiritual path. You have the right sadhana, and do those meditation that I talked about, the one Devi's Grace. And if you're not doing the Siddha Sat Chit Kriyananda, something for you to discover, to look into it. And we're very excited now, so we have a special gift coming up very soon. Maybe it's out by now. It's a complimentary blessing. It's my gift to you. For some of you who are new or maybe not even on the spiritual path yet, awaken to you divine, actually it's called Awaken to Your Divine Presence. And you can click on the link here. It's a blessing for you, beloved, who are new, who are starting to self-discover, and for you who are the midlife sincere seeker, who can deeply relate to what I'm saying about the post-awakening void. Highly suggest you check out the reading, the light, and reach out if you have any comment. If it's personal, you can always email us. Otherwise, it's preferable in the comment section. Ask questions. So what is it about you? Are you experiencing what I'm talking about? And what are your feelings? Is that pretty much the same thing? Feeling lost, a lack of meaning, a grand sense of dissolution, and feeling emptiness, loneliness? Come and join our beloved community, not only on this channel, subscribe, like, and share, but we also launch a new brand channel we're very, very excited about. It's called Devi Ma Wisdom Drops. And this one is about wisdom drops. So there are shorts with powerful wisdom drops and video clip. So you might want to subscribe to this one as well. Maybe even some of you during this post-awakening void might feel a little depressed. Some of you might even go into some kind of light depression or maybe more severe depression. For many, many spiritual seekers, it's part of their conscious evolution because they awaken so fast. And it's hard for them to integrate all this new divine light energy. And so you can even feel an identity crisis like I did. Because if you read Becoming the Light, Realize Your True Enlightened Nature, you will see Devi Ma went through this when I was in my early 30s. Very, very severe, because it was a phenomenal spiritual awakening. And then prior to that, there was an intense identity crisis, because everything is falling apart about your life. Your life, your whole sense of being, your whole sense of illusionary ego. So the post-awakening void is really real and can be very dangerous if you're not really sincerely attending to your inner garden and receiving the divine guidance into a teacher-student relationship, and having a community who support you, that you feel you're not alone, and to bring about your sacred life purpose, to bring a new meaning in your life, that when you leave the planet, you know you have made a contribution to our beautiful, beloved planet and help bring the divine feminine energy. So I bow to you. I send you a wave of divine love and light. Namaste. All my blessing.